Hi, let's look at the awesome features that Power Query has, which is a add-in into Excel 2010 and 13 and is already built in Excel 2016. So this is a add-in from Microsoft and it is a very powerful tool. If you have not used it, I would recommend that you check it out. Alrighty, so let's see what we have in this Microsoft's Power Query add-in. We got this ribbon, which is pretty much like all other Microsoft products. 4 tabs over here. And now I have loaded this data from 10 different files and combined them into one table and played around with the data a little bit. So we can see all these highlighted options in the ribbon. If you do not have any data in Power Query yet, this Power Query editor window will show all these buttons grayed out. So first thing what you got to do is you got to get the data from either a file or from multiple files in a folder, any of the database, Azure, online services. You can get it from Wikipedia, web, and any other good online services that you may use. Create a blank query, ODBC, SAP Business Object, and all that stuff. Alright, so once you have the data, you can name your query as to whatever you want. You can definitely go to properties and type descriptions. Year to date, 2016, financial data from multiple files. This is what it is. Here it is. Next to the query name, when you put the cursor, it tells you what you wrote about it. Similarly, for each of the step, you can go to properties and add a description. This, the steps are named automatically in Power Query and they are pretty much explanatory. So let's check it out. So we got the data from a folder which contains 10 Excel files with year-to-date monthly data, and then we appended that data with these steps which you can check out on my first tutorial, right? And once we have played around with this data, now we can see what all Power Query could offer us. So we can close the Power Query and load it into a data sheet or a data model which could be used with a Power Pivot, right? Because Excel limits you around 1,000,000 rows or more, but in Power Pivot you can load as much data as you want. You can refresh your preview. So this is a preview which is generated from the data that you're working with. If you have not refreshed it, this would contain older information. But this preview, the way I use it is more like, hey, I just want to see how things are in my columns, and then do all these sequential steps. And I don't care when the new data comes in, I just have to hit refresh and the new data gets shaped and appended to this table automatically. All right, let's look at properties, which we did, where we added the comment, right, and the query name, and we want it to load fast. So this is useful if you're pulling data from Excel file. If you're pulling data from SQL Server, I think this doesn't help you much. Advanced Editor shows us the code that we wrote down. So this is the coolest part of Power Query. It types all the code automatically, which could be accessed through Advanced Editor by clicking on Advanced Editor over here. If you are good with coding, you can edit it, but most of the time I don't look at the code at all because I'm not a developer. I'm just a analyst who deals with data, and I love this interactive ribbon. Now manage would tell me I can delete this query, I can create a duplicate one, or I could reference this query, right? So for example, hey, I want this query to reference the existing current query. But I want to manipulate the data a little bit and not lose. So this is the column that I added, and I'll be like, maybe I don't need it. So here we go. We can create a duplicate query. So duplicate query is helpful. For example, if I'm supporting a line of business right now, right? Let's say hardware. So I pulled this financial information from a particular folder for hardware. In the second query, I want to pull all the financial information, year-to-date numbers for software. So all I got to do is, here's a duplicate query. So let's create a duplicate for this one because this one has no steps, right? And I just change the source and point it to the new files located in a folder. And this is going to pull the data from that particular folder. So very helpful. You don't need to keep writing code again and again and again. You can just say duplicate reference in your Power Query steps. Alrighty. Query before I unpivoted the data contained about 61 columns. There's so many, right? I don't need these columns, so I'll be like, I just need GL account number. I need some manual information, comments and all that people added. You know what? Give me invoice numbers too. Give me the name of the client. And I want to know when it was posted, right? So we know which month's financial we are looking at. Give me the value P&L line P&L. I need to know the line of business. Hit OK. And now you can see only those columns that we chose are available. You know what? Later on, my manager asked me, hey, can you add information at profit center level? That's all I do. If I would have done what I did when I started as a financial analyst, I would have copied these columns from 12 different files and pasted them in a tab in Excel. Then I would have to copy this particular column from 12 Excel files again and paste them in the new column, and I most likely would have messed up in copy and pasting information after 6 months. Over here, someone tells you, hey, besides Profit Center, you know what I'm thinking? I need information on our partners. Okay, here we go. I chose that column too. Similarly, you can remove column instance. Yeah, this all looks good, but this report actually doesn't give me partner and client information. I would have to do a lookup to get that information from somewhere else, so we can remove columns too. And if I see that the first 3 rows of this reports are blank or I don't need them, I can be like, hey, remove the top rows, say 3, and it remove 3 rows. And later on, if you're like, I want to remove 30, you can remove 30. So you can remove rows, top rows, bottom rows, alternate rows, duplicates, blank rows, and remove errors. So wow, there are so many features, and so less little time to do. I'm wondering if I should create a separate video, but anyway, let's quickly look at it. Similarly, you can keep rows, you can sort data A to Z, Z to A, you can split a column by delimiter, by number of characters, depending on whatever works for you. You can group the data. This is an awesome feature. We'll look at it sometime. You can change the data type to text. It looks like a text column to me. You can replace values like if you would do in Excel, so simple. Find in a column and replace it with this, and here are some advanced options. Merge query, this is like the joins or VLOOKUPs in Excel. Append, appending data on top of each other. Parameters, will cover them in detail later. Settings, will look them up later. We saw all these sources and recent sources anyways. So this much is available in home, and believe me, there is so much more fun stuff in advanced. Transfer, add column and view, which we'll cover in next few minutes in the next tutorials. I want to keep the length of these tutorials to 10 minutes, so peace out. Check out number 4 if you want to see the transform ribbon.